Hi, I'm Caden, here with my brother,
Cal,
and you're listening to Eating W's.
eat the W.
That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W.
So, on today's episode of Eating W's, we have our NFL Week 15 recap. And I just want to give a quick little thing before we start that I am in the beginning stages of what I can tell is going to be a nasty head cold. So if I sound off or seem a little low energy, it's because I am off.
It's not Omicron. Negative. You had negative test. It's not the Omicron.
All good. Every winter, it seems like I have like a 3-month-long head cold just with the cold weather. Mm-hmm. So it's just the start of that.
It's a Midwest
It's
thing.
something I gotta deal with. So just
also, want to give a quick shout out to the NAIA football national champions, the Morningside Mustangs.
Of course.
Who is the backup long snapper over here. But, hey, their seniors have more national titles than losses. NAIA, that's still pretty damn good,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 3 titles in 4 years. And eventually he'll have a ring to put on here.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get to show that off.
That'd be cool. It's a good idea.
But yeah, just wanted to point that out. That's a pretty kick-ass cool deal there.
Definitely. It was a fun game to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So now we'll jump right into our NFL picks. So starting off, we had the Thursday night game with the Chiefs heading to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. And the Chiefs picking up a pretty needed win, if we're being that honest. I mean, at the beginning of the season, everyone was saying, where's this Kansas City team we know and love? And then they dropped so far from grace, but now it seems like they're a little bit more on the up track. I mean, the Chargers played damn well. Don't get me wrong; it was a great game to watch.
They were up for a good portion of that game. The Chiefs had to come back to win it.
But the Chiefs pulled off a win pretty much single-handedly by Travis Kelce. It almost seemed like he took over that game, and on that last touchdown in overtime, I just don't understand how they didn't tackle him. It wasn't even poor tackling. It was just some of the worst angles I've ever seen.
Oh, the terrible angle.
They have a picture right when he catches it where he's boxed in by 3 defenders, and I just don't get how he got out of it.
Terrible technique there. He should have been tackled. Yeah, 3 guys had a shot at him, and all 3 had a terrible, terrible angle on that last play, and all 3 missed. It comes down to fundamentals.
Exactly. That's just something that you got to know how to do, and it seemed like none of them did.
No, not to have crazy. 3 of them do it. You can have one that can be aggressive, or but
yeah, when
all 3 of them are, what are you teaching there? I thought Brandon Staley was the defensive coordinator. I mean,
so are the Chiefs back?
Oh, I know. Everyone's been saying, are the Chiefs still a bad team? I don't know now.
At this point, they're
the number 1 seed, but they don't look like this powerhouse of a team that they once were.
A very top-heavy AFC last year has gone.
I'm pretty sure every
hidden away. Like what?
Every AFC team is just 9-5.
It's crazy.
All of them somehow.
It's pretty much across the board. I don't get it. It's been a crazy season for the Chiefs and the AFC in general, to say the least.
I think the Chiefs have a lot of talent. They're almost kind of like the Cowboys of the AFC.
Yeah.
Their talent is carrying them pretty far.
I can see stuff
and
like that.
And for whatever reason, Andy Reid is having an off coaching year. Maybe that whole Britt Reid stuff is sticking with him because
that was
holy shit. Andy Reid has gone through a lot of personal trauma. Just over time, I mean, like
that was some crazy shit.
Maybe he needs to take some time to himself and his family. I don't know, or they're still just trying to get Bieniemy. I still think that's just the whole point of it.
Yeah, sure. Next up, we got the Pats who went to Indianapolis, and those close towards the end was pretty well handled game by the Colts. I mean, 27-17 I want to say, but it was like 20-0 at one point, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Mac Jones had a couple of mistakes, threw some picks.
Mac Jones had a lot of mistakes. Jonathan Taylor did his usual MVP level play type stuff, 170 yards, 1 or 2 touchdowns.
The Colts did to the Patriots what the Patriots did to the Bills, because Wentz only threw the ball like 5 times.
I think Wentz had like 5 or 6 completions for like 57 yards, and that was his whole stat line. No touchdowns, no picks.
And then the Patriots did the opposite what the Patriots did, and Mac Jones threw the ball like 40 times for almost 300 yards.
Yeah,
So
$2.99.
I don't know. Apparently the noise of them not running or them running the ball too much, not throwing it enough last Monday
Must have got to him somehow.
got to Belichick somehow because then he forced the throw.
I don't know.
It didn't work out for him. They need to go back to running it.
So I was celebrating that night, as we already mentioned.
Yes.
But so I didn't get
see a whole lot of it. But
I didn't
we
get
were
to watch much
celebrating
of this
our
game, but it
national
was
title.
it just seemed like a really weird game. I mean, every time it was on at the bowling alley we were at, and every time I looked up, the Colts were up by just a little more and a little more, and then I stopped watching the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden the Pats scored 17 unanswered in garbage time, and it was like almost a close game.
Yeah.
It was
Final
just
score looked a lot closer than it really was. The Colts had that game in hand for most of it. I mean,
it was a strange game to say the least. But next up, we have another pretty big AFC matchup with the Titans, who went to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. And the Steelers pick up what I would say is a pretty overall shocking win. I mean, neither of those teams looked very good. I think the Titans, it's really starting to set in for them, the whole no Derrick Henry thing.
Mm-hmm. And they're missing their top two receivers, in Julio and
A.J. Brown were out again. And Tannehill, I like Ryan Tannehill, but he just can't do it. He's not that type of quarterback that's going to do it by himself. He needs that run game.
He's got to have some support around him. He's not someone who can elevate the team on his own with just role players around him. Someone that the likes of Rodgers and Breeze could do.
Yeah.
We kind of were talking about this, but Brady at one point, maybe not so much now,
maybe not
but Brady at one point where you could raise the level of play of a team just by yourself. I call it the LeBron effect.
God, I hate LeBron.
The whole team's just, you got to play better. You're just playing with a bunch of scrubs, but you make them all look like superstars because you're that damn good.
Yeah.
The LeBron effect.
So in this case scenario, it's the Henry effect.
Yes.
Because that's pretty much what Henry was doing to that offense and what Tannehill can't do to that offense. But on the Steelers side of the ball, I got to watch a good little bit of this game. They didn't look overly good either on offense or defense. Or their offense didn't look overly good. Their defense stepped up big time. I get that there was a lot of players missing on the Titans' offense, but their defense played very well in my opinion.
Compared to how they had been playing, they definitely played a much better game.
T.J. Watt got to Tannehill a few times. They got 1 or 2 interceptions, I think, so that's always a big turnaround. It was a close game.
T.J. Watt might break the sack record.
He's on pace for it.
He's got
17
or 18,
something like that.
And the record's 22 and a half. Yeah. So there's a good chance he breaks the record.
That man is a beast. You want to talk about single-handedly raising a team.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty much doing
that
to
defense.
the Steelers.
He's done that too.
Yeah, definitely.
Makes everyone around him on that defense better. And on that final play, I don't know, but it ended on the Titans catching the ball, needing the first down. And it was eerily reminiscent to the Rams-Titans Super Bowl the Titans player got tackled 1 yard before the first down. Stretched the ball out, but was just short.
They gave him a good spot, and they had to bring the chains out, but they gave him a good spot.
Yeah, but it was just crazy
think he got that
how eerily reminiscent that was. Just, it wasn't an end zone play, it was a first down play, but it was almost,
yeah, that was
exactly similar, just different area on the field.
That was funny. I forgot about that. But yeah, a good and much needed win for the Steelers. Next up, we had the Jets, who went to Miami to take on the Dolphins, and in what seemed like a kind of boring matchup, the Dolphins pick up a pretty entertaining win overall. I want to say.
I think we sent this one to London.
I believe so.
And they were entertained. It was at least a good game. 24-31, you got points, you had a team come back a little bit.
Yeah.
They didn't look like two of the most awful teams in the NFL.
No, it was a pretty good all-around game. Both quarterbacks, Zach Wilson and Tua, had a decent game.
Mm-hmm.
It was a better game for Zach Wilson compared to his last few, and probably a little worse of a game for Tua compared to his last few.
Yeah.
I think Tua kind of took that step back, like I've been saying I could see happening.
Well, they've been off for like 23 days or something like that.
Yeah, they hadn't played for a while. He missed a few big-time throws that he probably shouldn't have missed. he seemed off, but he picked up his team a win. And whether that's versus a bad team or not,
Again,
if
had
you
to
can
come
lead
back.
your team to a win,
The Jets
that's a
were
win.
up for a good part of that,
Yeah.
including early. They really dominated the first quarter. It was 7-14 nothing in the first quarter. Wilson was perfect through all the first quarter.
Yeah,
So,
Wilson played very
yeah.
well comparative to what he had been. And then one thing I really liked about that game is Devontae Parker stepped up big time. He was a 2015 draft pick for them, who was supposed to kind of be their big
That
new
next
receiver.
big receiver.
And he never really stepped up, but for the last 5-6 years now, he's just underlying played solid football. So now that Jalen Waddle had to be out with COVID, he kind of stepped up. I was really happy to see that. And I think if he can continue to develop and really take that next step late in his career now, and Waddle can be what Waddle is looking like he's going to be, that might be a scary passing game there.
And he was out. Devontae Parker was out most of this year.
Yes.
So he's just recently has
And
come
most
back.
of last year, I think.
Yeah. So he's just recently has really come back and gotten a chain of games in. So
Yeah, that poor guy's been plagued by injuries.
unfortunately, yeah. He's
But
one of them.
another solid win by the Dolphins. They've been shocking.
Fins up. 8 in a row after a 1-7 start. They could be the first team to start 1-7 and make the playoffs right now.
Little less respect for Tua. I don't think he looked as good, but like I said, he got his team a win.
That's on coaching.
That's
not
coaching,
Tua.
big time,
Just
yeah.
I mean the Dolphins doing good. Brian Flores got that team to somehow believe after a Robert Hunt touchdown that was called back. I mean, there must have been gasoline on that fire because all they needed was a spark, and that was it.
It's so funny that that's the turning.
That's
point.
the turning
That's
point
the
of
true
Dolphins
turning
season.
point.
Is a touchdown that didn't even count.
That's so funny.
I don't know. I guess that makes sense with the way the last couple of years have gone. just
That's
in
what the
world.
NFL is now.
Yeah.
You're one offensive line touchdown away from being a super team. Next up, we got another AFC matchup with the Bengals heading to Denver to take on the Broncos and picking up a win in a close game. Man, I cannot get the Bengals down. Every time I think
right?
the Bengals are going to win, they lose. Every time I think the Bengals are going to lose, they win. And to be honest, that's kind of the same thing with the Broncos. You could almost say the same thing that I just said for the Bengals. These are two really confusing teams that are still somehow in the playoff race just because the AFC is so freaking wild.
That's me. Every team's 9-5.
Especially the Bengals picking up another win here. They can almost win their division still.
Yeah, they can. I'm pretty sure with a win, they become the number one in the AFC North.
The AFC is giving me a headache this year, man. I don't know what to think about them. I didn't get to watch much of this game, but Jamar Chase had a bad game, and the Bengals still picked up a win, which was surprising. Teddy Bridgewater almost died again, which seems to just be a reoccurring thing. Drew Lock proved that he still can't win an NFL game. I mean, it was a wild game.
Yeah, a little bit of everything over the past few years, just in that one game.
Yeah, for real.
He covered the Teddy Bridgewater, basically what every season is for him. Near-death experience.
Just cannot catch a break injury-wise, bro. Whether it's him getting knocked out cold on the field or almost dying from a leg injury.
Or almost ripping his own leg off in practice.
It's been a wild career since
He's had
2014.
concussions. He's had different things. He's had
If you
shoulder
can name it,
injuries
he's
in
probably had
Carolina.
It's wild.
His best time was in New Orleans, I think, when he was backup last year.
Yeah, he came
and
in
he
and
was
won
like
3
6-0
straight
or something.
Yeah.
When Breeze was out with that thumb injury. So
that was funny. I forgot that happened.
yeah, I don't know. Poor Teddy. That's just all I can think is, jeez, that poor guy. He's a really good guy. He doesn't. It's not even like it's the guy that deserves it or anything.
Great game manager.
Yeah, he's a great player. Really solid. Community guy. Like really nice. Like it's just one of those things where it's like that's one of the worst people for that to happen to. Like, why is that the person it happens to? Meanwhile, Antonio Brown walks around with a drawn-on vaccine card and gets to come back and play football, but Teddy Bridgewater almost dies every year, like he's Kenny from South Park.
Every year, every game, bro. Shit's wild. But no, it was a good game
yeah,
by
for the Bengals.
It really was.
If it's not Jamar Chase, it's T. Higgins. If it's not T. Higgins, it's Joe Mixon. This team seems to have a different player break out every game, and if they don't, they lose.
Yeah.
They don't have somebody take over the game, whether it's one of those three or CJ Uzama or Burrow goes and has an amazing game. He's thrown 400 yarders. And then it seems like there's games where no one steps up and they lose.
Definitely is that no one steps up.
Jets game comes to mind.
No one really stepped up in this one, but they still picked up a win. I'd say
T. Higgins went over 100 yards and had 2 touchdowns.
that was last game.
It was?
Yeah, T. Higgins didn't have an overly great game this week.
My bad.
But I'd say
Things
the main person who stepped up this week was their defense. Their defense played much better than it has been. Trey Waynes, they got him back. And I think that was really mainly what won it for them, is shutting down Drew Lock and Teddy, respectively, whatever they were in. So, moving on to, seems like our first AFC or NFC team. We have the Packers, who went to Baltimore to take on the Ravens and just barely snuck out a win in what kind of seemed like it should have been a blowout.
It was. There was some garbage time touchdowns, and I think we went to garbage time just slightly too early. And, they went for 2. I respect the shit out of that. I think that's just awesome. I'm one of those advocates for that, thinking, when the game's on the line like that, go for the win. Don't put it in the hands of a coin flip. If you can't get 2 yards, and I'm not saying I want to word this right, because I was going to say if you can't get 2 yards, you don't deserve to win. But Baltimore, I don't want to say it didn't deserve to win. But you see what I'm trying to say here. Is it when it comes down to it, and this is what Harbaugh's thought was, is that it's time to win this game kind of thing.
Yeah.
We're not going to tie it and send this to a coin flip. We're going to go try to win this thing now. And if we can't, then they deserve to win it. And it was just one of those kind of things. They've done that 2 weeks in a row now. Gone for 2 and missed. Both times to Mark Andrews.
Both times.
Yeah.
So I'm on the opposite side of that. Maybe it's just the specialist in me, but I say you always go for the field goal. You get that 1 point, you send it overtime. But exactly, I mean, they go for the two times in a row and go to the most obvious person both times, who's double coveraged both times. So I don't see why they go to Mark Andrews again in that situation. They do an onside kick, which is one of the most basic onside kicks I'd ever seen. It was straight to the Packers defender.
I'm not actually...
when you have Justin Tucker kicking, I don't know how you don't dial something up crazy against a good team.
That was exactly the Packers special teams is the worst thing about them. I had no faith that we were going to get that onside kick. That's why Justin Tucker kicked a basic onside kick. Because he's like, can these guys even handle a basic onside kick? We let the Bears get one last week. There was however many, we talked about it last week, 4 successful onside kicks. Doubled the total successful amount for the whole season. We blocked that, that 2-point conversion, and I wasn't even celebrating yet. So I was like, shit. I was like, that's almost worse, I thought. And obviously we got it, which is good. It shows that our special teams is at least fundamentally building.
Can do something.
Just do the easy things. Catch the kickoff and the punt. Catch the onside kick. If you don't go anywhere, that's fine. We got an offense that'll do it. Just don't give up the ball. Yeah. That's all I want our special teams to do. And make field goals, please.
I still don't like the decision, though. I mean, you're going blow for blow all game. You've had a couple of close turnovers. I don't know how you don't put that thing into overtime. Your offense have proved they can score. If you can stop the Packers or get a turnover, and then even if you don't score, you have one of the greatest kickers of all time, Justin Tucker. I think he said that in overtime.
Does it come into consideration that you're playing a Hall of Fame level quarterback?
Well, yeah, but
it's like either way though, you're gonna if you don't.
I agree, but that's a Hall of Fame level quarterback that I don't know who will watch the game, but he was off that game. I mean, he wasn't bad by any means, but compared to Rodgers' usual standards, he was off.
But if they had tied it, they would have had 40 seconds and a timeout. I'm just, I think it all depends on the situation. I think that situation called for it. Because you're probably going to lose anyways.
Well, even if you get the 2-point, he has 40 seconds.
Yes, either way, you have 40 seconds in the timeout. But, yeah, if you get the 2, at least you're making it to where if he does make a rare mistake, you get the win instead of the tie. So
they released a thing where, like, kind of a mic'd up thing where Harbaugh talked to his players and all the players said, let's go for the win. So it was a whole team decision, and I really like that. But still, just a personal thing.
I don't think Harbaugh
like
gets talked enough as a really good coach.
Oh, he's
one of the best coaches in my mind, and his players buy in just like that mic'd up moment where he had all the faith in his team without Lamar Jackson. They got Tyler Hundley back there, Brett Hundley's younger brother. No, just kidding.
I think it is.
Just kidding. No, it's H-U-N-T. Hundley is H-U-N-D. But but just seeing that, as a football fan, just a pure, student of the game, you love seeing that. When your whole players get behind your coach and they're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go for it. I was terrified. I thought, they're going to get this.
Yeah.
Hell of a play made by Darnell Savage, who had been getting beat up by Mark Andrews all game. Just immediately beeline to Andrews on that snap.
Because it was so obvious.
I mean, right, but hey, he was beating us all game. Why not give him the shot to knock us out? And he was able to.
I don't like
or
Harbaugh.
Almost able to.
Don't like Harbaugh. Don't like the decision, but I respect the hell out of both of them, Harbaugh and the decision. So. Next up, we have an NFC South divisional matchup with the Saints heading to Tampa Bay to take on the Bucs and pulling off a pretty big upset. Now, this was less of an upset for the Saints and more of just a gut punch for the Bucs. I mean, they lose Mike Evans in the game for possibly a week or two, or maybe just the game. They lose Chris Godwin for the season in that game.
Blown out
Leonard Floyd had to go out that game. Leonard Fournette had to go out that game.
Now the Bucs have Leonard Floyd on defense.
Leonard Floyd plays everywhere, bro. No, Leonard Fournette had to go out that game.
Actually,
Brady played awfully.
Slight breaking news. Well, it came this morning. Fournette went on IR.
He did?
He's out for the season also.
Fournette for a while.
He may come back during the postseason, but he's for sure missing the rest of the regular season.
So that's a big hit for the Bucs.
That's only a May comeback for the postseason.
It kind of showed, in my opinion, something that I can't remember how much you've been saying it, but I've been saying this for a while on the show, that at this point, I respect the hell out of Brady, but he's just not a good player anymore. If he doesn't have these elite players across the board, he just can't do it. And he loses his two best receivers and one of his good running backs. They have two really good running backs. And gets shut out by a Saints defense that had been allowing a good little bit of points to the past few weeks. That just kind of proves my point, in my opinion. Maybe I'm just saying that because I like that it proves my point, but I'm just saying.
Hey, it always is nice when someone's like, hey, I said that. No, I don't know what it is about the Saints. They just know how to take out top teams. I don't know. They beat Green Bay 38-3 to start the season. Beat Brady, sweep him twice, and shut him out for the first time in 27 years or some shit like that.
One,
however long he's been playing for. I don't know. I was 3 when he started playing, so 31 now. But it did look like for one of the few times Brady showed his mortality, his age, and his declining talent. They lost a lot of pieces. There were some pieces already out, and then losing some major pieces during the game. It looked like he couldn't adjust, obviously. And the Saints just ran a high school offense of running Taysom Hill up the middle every play and got 3 field goals out of it and won. I don't know. That's NFL parody that just makes my head hurt because I can't figure out how the hell that happened.
It was a wild game, but the Saints just have their number in the regular season.
They really do. That truly proved it. For whatever reason, the Saints, I don't know if it's Dennis Allen, who was the Saints defensive coordinator, and he was the coach, acting head coach, with Sean Payton out. So I don't know. Maybe he just, for some reason, knows how to beat Brady and the Bucs.
Just like
Bruce Arenas and his offense. I don't know. But.
Just like the Vikings have the Saints number in the postseason, the Saints have the Bucs number in the regular season. It's crazy. Speaking of the Vikings, next up we got the Vikings who went to Chicago to take on the Bears and finally picked up a win in Soldier Field. Man, it feels nice. It's been a while. It took about everything to happen for us to pick up a win.
Also, was the first time that Kirk Cousins won back-to-back primetime games.
There you go.
So
Kirk Cousins breaking the
He's
mold.
breaking that mantra that he can't play in primetime. We can't say that really much anymore.
My God, it took about everything. The final score was 17-9. It was more like 17-3. The Bears got a last-second
They got
touchdown.
a Hail Mary for
But
some
I mean,
stupid reason.
I don't get it. The Bears had like 0 corners. And don't get me wrong, the corners that they did have stepped up big time.
Played lights
Graham
out.
Jr., a rookie, stepped up and had
Thomas
an
Graham
amazing
Jr.
game.
A 6th-round pick this year.
But when they're missing like 3 or 4 starting corners, Kirk Cousins has got to play better. He played okay, but the whole game was sloppy. I mean, he had low yards. He had 2 touchdowns, and he had 1 pick, but the pick was a total bullshit call. The whole night was... The reffing was awful that game, but I don't even want to get into that.
I mean, yeah, I felt like Cousins should have gone for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns.
The reffing that game was awful. His only interception was complete bullcrap, but he had 2 touchdowns. He scored when he needed to. He didn't play great. None of them played great. None of the Vikings played great. It was a sloppy game, but we picked up a win.
Jefferson,
and that's all that really matters at the end of the day.
Good.
He did decent. He
Well,
had,
your
he
best
had,
player.
He had a touchdown and like 70 or 80 yards.
Because Cook didn't do so hot.
Cook didn't do great. The Bears play us tough, especially in Soldier Field.
It's
we
a
never
divisional game.
We
That's
never
what I
have
say
an easy
every
game
time.
in Soldier Field, no matter what. But
Especially those NFC North divisional games.
We
They're
picked
always
up a win.
slobber knockers. And a little slight shout out to the Hawkeye, Amir Smith-Marset. First career catch, first career touchdown.
Second career touch.
Second.
first career touchdown.
There you go. That
Yeah, but
has
still.
slightly mixed up there, but
And the blocking.
But yes, and you can tell that he's an Iowa wide receiver because he blocks. I'm surprised that Green Bay has not drafted more Iowa wide receivers or just Iowa players on offense because of the blocking that is teached in Iowa City.
I want to see a
No
compilation.
matter your position.
I want to see a compilation of Smith Marsette's blocking because every time I saw him on camera on a run, whether it was Cousins or Cook, he was pushing that corner back 5-6 yards, and I love to see it. So.
And he got rewarded for it with a touchdown.
Yep, he got the easy touchdown. You gotta love it. So I'm happy we finally picked up a win in Soldier Field. Next up, we had the Raiders going to Cleveland and take on the Browns and pick up a win in a very close game. Last-second field goal by Daniel Carlson. It was a great game by the Browns, in my opinion, just holding it together at all with all the people they had out and COVID people they had out. They probably should have picked up a win if we're being dead honest, but the Raiders held on just enough to get that last field goal and win it.
Yeah, so Cleveland was basically playing with also a scrub team. They had like 25 or so players either out for injury or illness. This was originally scheduled to be played on Saturday, got moved to Monday.
Correct, yes.
So, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier. This is not this, the COVID handling of the rescheduling of games by the NFL is the head slap of the week, because at the beginning of the year, I don't know how many of you remember, the NFL stated that they would not reschedule or cancel games due to COVID. And what do? 3/4 through the season, they start rescheduling games 2 to 3 days before the game is even supposed to happen. I get having to move it, but you got to make that decision sooner. I mean, that threw off the other team, and you got to be prepared for it, but like the Raiders didn't have any positives. So why, it's unfortunate to them, to the Raiders, and the other teams playing these COVID teams that are having these outbreaks, because they're being basically kind of penalized for just playing the other team when they should just let it go. I mean, illnesses happen. I remember when in a couple years before COVID, Green Bay had a flu bug going around. They had 16 players miss the game, the playoff game against the Giants, and we won. But no one really was like, oh man, we might have to move this game because of this flu bug. They just were like, no, well, get out there. That was all pre-COVID.
That was a whole different world. Yeah,
it was,
it
but
was way
I'm
different.
just, and I know it's not exactly similar, but
Yeah.
it is somewhat.
And then thing that really confused me about it is, I mean, they only moved those games 2 to 3 days. I don't think anybody actually played that wasn't going to play on.
Garrett Gilbert still started for Washington. Who started for Cleveland?
I can't remember. It wasn't Keenum.
Not Keenum. The San Francisco quarterback, Nick Mullins.
Nick Mullins.
Yeah,
Yep.
who's good. But
Played well.
still, it's just, what's the point of moving them when the same players played anyways?
It was a very confusing situation.
That's the only thing I don't get. It didn't bring any extra. I'd take that back. There were some players that did make the cut then, but not a whole lot. It didn't make it. Both teams with COVID had to start third string quarterbacks. So
yeah,
if that's what they were trying to get at, they still didn't hit their mark.
It was a weird situation. Next up, we got a fun game, of course. The Cardinals heading to Detroit to take on the Lions, and the Lions picking up an upset, baby.
Not just an upset, but a domination of an upset.
It's
not even so much the win, it's how they won. It's the fact that they
12.
had that in hand the whole game. I mean, it looked like the reverse. It looked like Detroit had been playing like Arizona's been playing all year. I mean, had to double take, be like, what team's wearing what jersey now? Because
Detroit covered Arizona's spread.
They did, yeah. Yeah. That's what I mean. So, what? Wow. We said this a few, we've been saying this. Once Detroit got a win, they were going to get on a roll with MCDC, get so hyped every damn game that they're taking out just about everybody. The only thing that they couldn't do was beat Denver, who just tragically had lost Demaryius Thomas. So Detroit had to be like, right, they'd be like, hey, we're not going to sit here and stomp you out in front of your, in front of your boy here. We're not Jackson Mahomes. We're not going to go dance on his goddamn plaque. We're not
going to dance.
Detroit, that's Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell's he's a respectable man, and he showed respect. But Arizona comes in, no one's died, and they got fucked up. And that's the new Lions. That's the Lions you're going to see from here on out.
Yeah, and the craziest part about it is it's not even necessarily Arizona had a bad game. They didn't have a great game compared to what they usually do, but they didn't have a bad game.
It's not like Kyler threw 5 picks or anything.
Detroit had a good game.
Jared
had
Goff a good game.
Looked like an actual NFL quarterback. There was one throw where he was under pressure, the touchdown to Amon-Ra St. Brown, that was like 37 yards. He's under pressure, guy hand on his shoulder, puts up one of the most beautiful.
I don't know what it is about certain games that Goff's just able to turn it on.
He just put up a beautiful loft, one of the prettiest throws I've seen in a while, and it was a touchdown to St. Brown, and it was just insane to see. It was so crazy.
Goff's career record against Kingsbury is 8-1.
Oh, from his time with...
against the Cardinals, But, not against Kingsbury himself. Against the Cardinals in general, he's 8-1.
He just knows how to do it against
he just can beat the Cardinals for whatever reason. I guess that's just what McVay showed him how to do.
Oh, but it was a hell of a game, and I am excited to watch the Lions and see if they can continue it next week.
I'm afraid to face them at the end of the season.
Oh, yeah, you still got more games.
Hopefully we have home field locked up, and it's not coming down to that game, because I feel like Detroit, that'll just be their thing. Like,
that'll be their thing.
Let's not let them have home field advantage. Like, of course you're going to fuck this up for us.
It's the Lions, baby.
Goddamn muscle milk major over there.
So moving on to our quick kicks for this week. First up, we got an NFC East divisional matchup with the football team heading to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. And though the football team came out to a hot start, the Eagles pretty well handled that game.
Yep, started out 10-0, and then Philly took over. And it was never in doubt after that. And like I was just saying, Washington had to start Garrett Gilbert, who they signed off of the Giants practice squad. Looked decent, but he looked like a guy who had only been on the team for a week, and not even a full week. That might be the only ones that maybe benefited from moving the games, was maybe the Washington team, because it got 2 more days for them to bring Garrett Gilbert up to speed. And he played, I think, the best he could for somebody who
for the situation.
had such minor preparation. So, good for him for sticking it out and trying, and that just, that the teams that had all these infections did kind of end up losing, especially Washington.
It happens. Next up, we got the other NFC East matchup with the Cowboys heading to New York to take on the Giants, and again, pretty well handling them. I didn't get to watch much of this game, but seems like the Cowboys just got a lead and kept it because the Giants' offense can't do anything.
Talent just I've been saying it all year. Talent won that game for him too. 21-6 should have been, 42-6. Really, if Giants just looked like a down team. Glennon didn't look like a very good quarterback. Saquon had a Madden-style glitch catch.
That was one of the best catches I've ever seen.
Jake Fromm finally got some playing time, so hopefully, I think they'll have a better shot if they start Fromm. Might as well see what you got with him.
I think definitely start Fromm next week. Next up, we have another divisional matchup, but in the West this time, with the Seahawks heading to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. And we didn't even quick kick this one necessarily because it was a bad game, because it actually looked like a pretty entertaining game.
It was a good game. We didn't get to see it. It was on the same time as that Seahawks game. This was another one moved
same
due to
time
COVID.
as the Washington game.
The Seahawks were playing in that game. It was the same time as the Washington-Philadelphia game, so we got the Washington-Philadelphia game here in Iowa. Only thing I know about the Rams game is that Cooper Kupp needs to be talked about in the MVP conversation. He is leading the receiving triple count categories, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, receptions, and he's leading by a large margin in all three. So, stout receiver, I think, making his case for one of the best in the NFL, especially with Woods out, showing that he can still perform at a high level.
That man has been beasting. Mm-hmm. Next up, we got the Panthers heading to Buffalo to take on the Bills, and again, the Bills pretty handily winning that game. The Panthers could not do much with Cam Newton in the backfield. Bills didn't look great either. This is kind of a get-right game. I don't know how right they truly got, but they still picked up a win.
Good, solid win. Carolina almost came back a little bit, made it a little close, and then Buffalo pulled away again. Carolina keeps playing Cam Newton at quarterback. I don't know if they feel obligated to play him. I think they should be playing him as a piece in the red zone and letting P.J. Walker start. They haven't won a game since Cam Newton has become the starter. Only that game where he ran to 2 touchdowns.
He got 2 touches, 2 touchdowns.
So, I don't know. I think that they just need to go back to P.J. Walker. Carolina is kind of sinking.
Definitely agree. Next up, we got the Texans heading to Jacksonville to take on the Jags. Texans continue to prove that they can beat good teams, and the Jags continue to Texans continue to prove that they can beat bad teams, and the Jags continue to prove they are one of those bad teams.
Yep. Even with the coaching change, Jacksonville looked a little bit more together, but still just not quite enough talent down there, or maybe the talent's just a little too young and raw. But I do think that they do have a bright future. I know it doesn't really help much for right now, especially if they can get a solid coach in there, good coaching staff, and run DM3. My boy, finally, is maybe the Tyrod prophecy is still going to salvage itself in the final games of the year here.
When they get some picks next year, I think they're finally a first-round pick next year. They might be a good team. Or DM3 might prove himself to be a good quarterback with some talent around him. And then finally, for our quick kicks in Week 15, we got the Falcons, who headed to San Francisco to take on the Niners. The Niners pick up a big, decisive win. It was a little close in the beginning, but then they kind of pulled away towards the end. And the Niners are looking like they're locking themselves into that 6th seed.
Yeah, Niners are turning it on here at the right time. They're looking dangerous, getting hot. Pulled away from Atlanta, 31-13. It didn't even seem like it was that dominant of a win. I thought it was a lot closer. And looking at it, it was like, wow, San Francisco really handled this much more than I thought they did. And that's just, Atlanta just looks checked out again. Seems like they either get up or they're checked out. There's no in between.
There's no in between, exactly. So that was our NFL Week 15 recap. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, don't forget
to eat the W.